Hello and welcome to Falcon Blues TV. I'm Callum Davies and I am back with another match preview for this weekend's game where Everton will be hosting Manchester City. We are live on Sky Sports on Saturday the 26th of February. It's a 5:30 kickoff, and before we get into the video, if you wouldn't mind going down, liking and subscribing, we'd really appreciate it, and let's get into the video. Everton come into this game off the back of a disappointing loss on the road to Southampton. There was a bit of promise around the club, obviously, after that win, that demolition of Leeds. And while Southampton are a good side, who are in good form as well, I thought the way that we whimpered out to that result wasn't great. I thought we were unlucky. We started well, probably should have had a penalty, and then we kind of just fell away. And it was a shame, and it's not going to happen overnight. This big turnaround, but we do need to start picking up points quite quickly, and I feel like this weekend isn't going to be one of those moments with the way that we've played against City in the past years, as I'll move on to in just a second. Now City are also off the back of a rare loss, but one that they always seem to suffer against Spurs. That's them doing the double over them. They lost 3-2. I thought Spurs played really well. City did their usual stuff, had all the ball, but they kind of just flattered to deceive for the most part. And I thought Spurs were really clinical. It seemed like a really perfect performance on their part, and they seem to kind of have City's number at the moment. The last two times though that City have been beaten by Spurs, so obviously the first game of this season they were beaten by Spurs. They then beat Norwich 5-0. Week after, last season they got beat 2-0 by Spurs. They then beat Burnley 5-0 the week after. So make of that what you will. City are unbeaten on the road since the opening day defeat against Spurs, and they've won 19 of their last 22 in all competitions. The form couldn't really be more different. The two sides we obviously are where we are, and they are still top of the league at the moment. Obviously it has kind of fallen back into Liverpool's hands with the recent drop points from City. It means that Liverpool are, I think, 6 behind with the game in hand, and they obviously have to play each other at some point later on. We have won our last 2 home games. We beat Brentford and we beat Leeds. I mean, they're not the greatest of sides, but I think the Goodison crowd has made a huge impact in those games, and I think if we are to get something from this game, which would be a miracle, it is going to be massively helped by the Goodison crowd. We played them in November, obviously, and got beat 3-0, as we always seem to do. They always put at least 3 past us, but they always seem to be a little bit more respectful. They don't ever put 4 or 5. We'll see about that this time, though. We've lost all of our last 9 against City in all competitions, which is pretty awful viewing. That's in the cups as well as in the league. Our last win was in 2017 against them in the league, and that was the 4-0 win where Tom Davies scored, and that was the perfect day, really. Tom Davies is injured still, which is a bit of a heartbreaker, but I think we do miss as well another body in the midfield, because I think 3 in midfield is what we're going to have to go with to get anything from this game. We can't surrender the midfield to a side like City, who have the midfield that they have. So as I said, our last win against them was in 2017. That was our only win against City since 2013, which is that 1 win in 18 games. It really doesn't make for good viewing, and but it's difficult to find any statistics that'll help Everton's cause, make it look like we stand a chance, because the recent history, it all just goes towards City, and they're a brilliant side. Most teams, or almost every team, would have pretty similar things to say if they compared their teams with City at the moment, and all we can really hope for is a good performance and a miracle, because we do need to start picking up points soon, especially with the running that we've got. Now, injuries, we do have a few people maybe returning. Gray looks like he will pretty much be back for this game. He got injured a little while ago, and it seems to have dragged on. I thought we might have seen it against Southampton, but we'll probably see a bit of him, if not starting off the bench, definitely. And Decore is a surprise one that might be back a little bit ahead of time. I wouldn't rush him back for this game because, as I said, it is a bit of a free hit. We don't expect a result here. But if he's fit, then he's fit, and I'd throw him straight back in. Obviously, the usual suspects, Delph, Davies and Godfrey and Mina are both all still out. For City, they've got a few players coming back. The main one being Gabriel Jesus, who loves a goal against Everton, absolutely loves a goal. I wouldn't be surprised if they started him up front, because realistically for him, you won't get an easier introduction back into Premier League life than playing against the team that he just always scores against. Grealish is one that probably won't be available, picked up a calf injury and he still hasn't quite ran it off. Cole Palmer is another one who probably won't be fit, he's also injured. So for team news, it's a difficult one to predict because a lot of Everton fans would like to see Patterson given a run out, but I still think he'll just persist with Coleman. I think his thinking will probably be that he doesn't want to take the risk at this moment in the season when we do need to pick up points, and I understand that to an extent, but Coleman is not the player that he used to be, and it's crazy of the club to have to rely on a player of that age to hold down that position all season. I think Pickford will start in goal, and I do think it'll be Coleman. I think Michaelenko will probably return to left back now that he's back. Kenny did all right against Leeds, and then against Southampton he was back to being not so great. You have to give it to him. He was out of position. So, and the centre backs, we do only have Keane and Holgate really, unless you wanted to throw Branthwaite in, which again I wouldn't be opposed to. Maybe I'd save it for another game, because City, it's going to be a lot of defending. It's going to be a lot of hard work for a young lad like Branthwaite. So I would just stick with Keane and Holgate. I would like to see him go with a 3 in midfield. Whether he will remains to be seen. And another talking point is whether Dele Alli will start. You imagine Van der Beek and Alan will retain their places. Gomez, when he came on, was absolutely awful. But he might have to start if he wants to go for a more balanced midfield three. 3 players who aren't as advanced to say if he wanted to start Ali. I'd like to see Ali give it a start, but I think he might prefer someone else, who could maybe play to a system, make the team a little bit more solid than to, go for a goal. But that remains to be seen. It'll probably be Ali, Gomez, or you could see Doucouré thrown back in. Personally, Doucouré's fit, he plays. If not, I'd like to see Ali. The front three, again, Gray could come back in. I think it'll probably be Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison and Gordon again. I wouldn't really drop any of them because they're all hard-working players. People, I don't want to come away from this game with people giving the 3 of them stick, because realistically they're not going to have a great deal of service. We'll be starved of the ball. And I hope Lampard kind of plays this a little bit more smart, because under Chelsea, the way his teams kind of played, when he tried to go toe-to-toe with City, they got exposed with the way that Lampard kind of overloads the ball, players into one side. It leaves gaps, and if you leave any gaps against City, then you'll get terrorised by them. So I hope he's learnt his lesson and he plays a little bit more smart, but at the same time, I'd like to see us actually challenge City for a change, because for the past 9 years, we've just rolled over and let them have whatever result they wanted. So it'd be nice to see us challenge them, but I don't want to see us get humiliated. City's team, it kind of can be interchanged. They've got about 1,000 players in every position, but you imagine the back 4-5 would be Edison, Cancelo, Walker, Diaz and Laporte. The midfield 3, most likely De Bruyne, Rodri and Gundogan. And then the front 3 is probably the more interchangeable. They do have a lot of players. You'll probably see Sterling. As I said, I think Jesus might start, but it might be a bit too soon. He'll probably come off the bench to grab a goal at the end. Sterling, Foden, and then maybe Mahrez, but if not Jesus, the team's hard to predict with how many options they've got, but whoever they play, it won't weaken the team anymore. So it is a real tough one to predict, and it's going to be a really tough game for Everton. So if I had to go for a prediction, be crazy of me to go for anything other than a City win. We're looking at the form table. Historically, they do like a 3-1 win against us. That will be my prediction. They're top of the league, we're 16th, and there's a reason for that. As I said, the form really couldn't be more different. I think if we're going to get anything from this game, it's going to be with the Goodison crowd holding the hand throughout it. But even then, City have been hostile, more hostile atmospheres than Goodison, and they've come away with good results. So I think we're going to have to hope that we catch them on an off day, we're on an on day, and the crowd just gets behind them. That's all we can hope for from this game, and just hope that we pick up points here or in the future to move us away from this relegation zone, because we're not safe yet, not by a long stretch. You can let us know in the comments down below how you think this game's going to go. Thank you very much for watching, and up the Toffees.